Hey, my name is Eva, and this is Blond Quantum, the podcast that breaks down quantum technology into real world business impact. Here, we make the complex simple. No equation, no overthinking, just insight, innovation, and a bit of humor. So don't worry, you don't need a PhD in physics to follow. In each episode, I talk to founders, scientists, and investors about how quantum is reshaping the industries today, not in some distant future. Oh, and if you hear a black cat purring in the background, that's my co-host, very alive Schrodinger's cat, joining the conversation. Her name is Moon. Let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Blond and Quantum, where we explore the real-world business of quantum technology. And I couldn't be more excited to start this journey today with a special guest who is connecting the deep science and the business. My guest today is Wasiq Bokhari, the entrepreneur, investor, and physicist, and also executive chairman of Pasqal, one of the world-leading quantum technology companies. So, Wasiq, thank you so much for being here today with us and help us to kick it off.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm really excited on being part of your show.
Perfect. So let's start from your background, Wasiq. You have gone from studying physics in MIT, then you went to the big tech, to Amazon and then Google, and then you went through the phase of your life of building a startup on your own, and then you were in a VC, so you are definitely multitasking here. Up to the moment when you are right now in the quantum leadership at Pasqal. So I guess where is the common ground here? In the nutshell, who is Wasiq Bokhari?
You know, when I was very young, I got very excited about science and technology, physics in particular, in science, and engineering as a principle in technology. And when I went to MIT, I realized that it was not something to study. Science and technology can be used for public good, and it can create new things that can solve problems and improve our standard of life and quality of life and make our lives better. So I've been just hooked on that, and that is the common thread in my journey. When I was an undergrad, I made a list of all the problems that I wanted to work on in my life.
That's beautiful.
And in that list was quantum computing, and this was a long time ago. And here I am fortunate enough that I'm actually working full-time in quantum computing.
Oh, perfect. So what was the moment, in which point did you realize that quantum is a little bit more than just a research field and could be a real business opportunity? Because this field is generally pretty young.
When I was in Amazon, this is around 2017 or 2018, when we were building the first dedicated business at Amazon focused on quantum computing. One of the things we realized was that there was enough advancement in the fundamental science of quantum computing, and there was enough ability to utilize existing engineering principles to create systems. And I said, aha, now that the science is settled enough and we can use engineering, it means we can actually build practical machines. So that was one part of it. And the second is that for the longest time, ever since I was a child, or not a child, but I was quite younger, I was reading all these papers that were coming out around quantum algorithms. And when I realized that these machines could be powerful enough in the very near future, or maybe even now, to run these quantum algorithms or all these quantum techniques, that meant that we could solve problems, real problems. And that's when the light bulb went off in my head that this is something which is real. And it can be a business.
Real problems. I like that. So let's start from the beginning. As you know, our podcast is dedicated mostly for enterprise executive and the business people. And a lot of people actually wonder what really are the quantum computers, right? A lot of people ask, are they like supercomputer? Are they just faster than the standard computing? Can we just come back to a beginning and start in a very simple, plain English, explain our audience what are quantum computers and what they're really doing?
So quantum computers are a new kind of a computer that is able to solve problems that are very difficult or impossible to solve through existing computers or through generative AI systems. These computers are based on the laws of quantum mechanics, which is how nature works. It's like the underlying magic on how nature works. So let me first describe to you how a quantum computer would do something versus a classical computer. Imagine you have a deck of cards, and I ask you, can you find the Queen of Hearts in that deck of cards?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll have to look at one card at a time until you find the Queen of Hearts.
100%.
But if I give the same problem to a quantum computer, somehow magically it will see all the cards simultaneously.
At the same time.
At the same time. Mm-hmm. And it will pick the Queen of Hearts. So, and that is the fundamental difference between a quantum computer and a classical computer. Generative AI systems are based on classical computers, so they do not have this magic that quantum computers have.
And I hope we can elaborate a little bit more later on it, actually, on the difference between AI and quantum. But once we're on the quantum, I just wanted to go a little bit deeper here. So a couple of months ago, I had the chance and the pleasure to see you speaking in one of the conferences where you actually compare quantum computers in terms of computation capabilities to human brains.
Yeah.
Can you, and the nature in general, and I really like this comparison. So can you please elaborate a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So if you don't mind, I'll talk a little bit about how computation currently works, and then why quantum computers, and then how the brains work. So at the heart of it, imagine a light switch, which can either be on or off. Mm-hmm. So the current computers, the way they work is that they use these tiny electronic components called transistors, which are effectively light switches. They can be on or off. And using the sequence of turning the switches on and off, we can do what is called computation. We can solve problems. Now, the weird thing about quantum computers is, as I mentioned before, is they use the laws of quantum mechanics. Now, there's three things that are very interesting about quantum mechanics. Take the example of the light switch again. Mm-hmm. If I had a quantum mechanical version of a light switch, it would not just be on or off. It could be a mixture of both on and off.
That sounds very abstract.
Abstract.
Yeah.
But that's the weirdness at the heart of nature.
Uh-huh.
The second part is that this weird quantum light switch, which is both on and off, the moment I look at it, it will become either on or off. That's another weirdness of it. And the third weirdness of that is that if I have two of these light switches, then somehow they can become connected in a spooky fashion, and which means that if I turn one on, then the other one has to be off, and vice versa. Now, using these three weird properties, now I can create a new version of these effective light switches, which will do computation in much more effective way. Now, the human brain does not use a transistor or a traditional transistor, which is used. It uses neurons, and neurons are much more. They're interconnected. They're like the roots of a tree. That they connect to each other. So in a similar way, quantum systems are highly connected to each other, but they have this other magical properties that are described. A human brain, for example, only uses 25 watts of power. A hairdryer uses typically 1,000 watts of power.
Wow.
So the human brain, one can argue.
This is really powerful.
The human brain, we could argue, is probably the most amazing computer ever in the world, and yet it is so power efficient. So it is because it computes in a very different way.
So is quantum the same level on our brains, or is it more advanced?
And quantum is exactly the same way because it computes in a different way. It is very power efficient and it's very powerful.
Okay. I heard you as well one day speaking about three pillars when standard computing plus AI plus quantum is going to take over the world, let's say. So can you tell us a little bit more about the synergy between quantum computers and the standard computers, and what kind of cases we can use one or another? And where is AI in all of it, right?
Yes.
It's like AI is so much on top of everyone's minds today, and a lot of people are actually asking, what's the difference between quantum computer and AI, and why we need those quantum computers, why AI cannot solve some of those problems?
Okay, so AI as it currently exists is basically you train a system based on a lot of data, and then it finds the connections or patterns in that data, and then when you give it new data, it determines whether those patterns are true or not, or it generates new patterns, which are based on that data. So that's how all AI systems are working. Quantum computers, because of the magical capability they have, they're able to solve problems which are very hard to solve for both AI systems and for traditional compute. An example of those problems is when you have to find one right answer out of billions of possible answers. Remember the analogy I gave of that deck of cards, which has 52 cards?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if that deck of cards had 52 billion cards in it. Right? Then a quantum computer, it will be very easy because it can see all 52 billion cards in the same time. Exactly. So, and then it will just pick the right answer, or pick the right, if there's multiple answers, it'll pick the right answers. But whether it's an AI system or a traditional computer, it will literally have to go through every card in some way.
So even AI will have to go through every single card and kind of learn the sequence or
learn the sequence,
the patterns to discover the right card.
Exactly. So if I'm looking for the Queen of Hearts, then the AI system would have to know, oh, this is not the Queen of Hearts, so reject, and this is the Queen of Hearts, so accept.
Yeah. So basically with each card, AI system will ask themselves, is that the Queen of Hearts?
Exactly.
Question.
Right.
Okay, I see. Okay. Cool. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Pasqal right now. So Pasqal obviously is one of the leaders in the world in building a quantum computers based on neutral atoms. And I know, most people know, that there's a couple of different approaches in building right now the quantum computers. We're talking about ions here, we're talking about photonics, the superconducting, from Amazon, and obviously neutral atoms. Maybe there's more that I'm not even aware about. So the question here is, why did you choose to join the company building quantum computers based on neutral atoms? I know some experts say neutral atoms right now is the black horse of this race. So what are the differences in the different approach, and why did you choose neutral?
So if I'll go back to the analogy I gave about switches.
Yeah.
So in the end, even for a quantum computer, you have to build this quantum mechanical version of a switch. Mm-hmm. Now the advantage with the neutral atom is that you don't have to build that thing. You just take an atom from nature and you use that as a switch.
Wait a second. What does it mean to say take the atom from nature?
So we use atoms of this element called rubidium. Mm-hmm. We just take those atoms of rubidium and we somehow trap them, and then we change its energy and so on, and that makes it do all the computation, the quantum computation. Okay. But since we are taking atoms,
so computing being based on the bunch of exciting atoms.
Bunch of exciting
atoms. That sounds very cool.
Exactly. So, but because every atom is the same as every other atom of rubidium, which means that we know perfectly how they will behave. As opposed to if we had to create a small device like a transistor, mm-hmm. then the act of creation of a device is never perfect, which means that our transistors would never behave in the same way. So that's a big advantage, that all of our atoms or switches, quantum switches, are exactly the same as any other. So these are called qubits. All of our qubits are the same. Mm-hmm. So that's the first big advantage. The second big advantage is that our quantum systems, they stay in their state of quantum weirdness for a very long period of time. So they're very stable. The third is that it is very easy for us to have tens of thousands of these quantum switches or qubits in our machine. And the last thing is, all of this works at room temperature. We don't need like special cryogenics. You can deploy it in standard data centers, which is really a big advantage for us to scale the system.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know this is one of the USP for neutral atoms that you guys are using also for sales. And I have heard that last year you sold the first commercial quantum computer. For enterprise executives who are right now looking to buy a quantum computer, you are saying that there's no need of any special infrastructure, and we can place a quantum computer for thousands of millions of dollars in normal data center. That's what they're saying?
Precisely. So last year,
And that's what is different from the different approach.
That's
they
a
need the
different
cryptogenic environment and additional investment.
Exactly. So you don't need deep cryogenics. So that's precisely it, as you said. So last year, we announced that we had received an order from Saudi Aramco, the world's largest oil and gas company, which purchased one of our quantum computers purely for the sake of use in their business. And this is the world's first purely commercial sale of a quantum computer. That quantum computer will be installed. It has already been delivered and shipped and delivered to Aramco. Thank you very much. That's a milestone for the industry. And it will be assembled and then it will be made operational in the standard data center for Aramco, where it will live alongside the chips from NVIDIA and the standard CPU clusters.
That's amazing. And actually, I'm glad really you talk about it, because that is going very smoothly to my next question. And the question is, what kind of industry, in your opinion, can benefit from adaptation from quantum computers as the earliest? And give us, please, some examples, some real case study, how different kind of industry can benefit, can utilize the quantum computers right now.
Right now. So starting with oil and gas, we can provide benefit in terms of how do we break down the oil and gas in refinery operations by creating new kinds of catalysts or other new kinds of materials. And that is a very important part of the oil and gas industry. The second is when it comes to distribution or the logistics of distribution, then we can provide new kind of capability on how to optimize that, meaning how to do it most efficiently. So that's in the oil and gas industry. If you look broadly in the energy industry, then it is how can we optimize the grid, or how can we do electric vehicle charging and so on. In the financial industry, we can create optimal portfolios for investment, and we can figure out if there's any change in the credit worthiness of customers very quickly based on, again, all these different data sets. And we can do it better than other approaches.
Does it mean it will be harder to get a loan or get
or
mortgage?
Easier. Because instead of using cruder methods, you can have more precise ways to determine that the risk is not as high. Similarly, in the case of telecommunications industry, we can allow the creation of more efficient cellular networks, which can handle increased data and enable utilization by more customers. And lastly, in materials, as I mentioned, that is an entire area where quantum computers really excel in terms of really mimicking the fundamental properties of nature, of physics and chemistry and biology, and that can lead to better materials, better drugs, better chemicals, and so on.
I think we didn't mention the pharma here. So drugs discovery is one of the fields that can also benefit, right?
Yes.
It's very close to my heart because my background is in health tech. So that was the first thing when I learned about quantum. Okay, that's great. But now you're saying, but all of these examples, are we talking about today world, or are we talking in the perspective of what, 5, 10, 20 or 30 years? So I know that I think it was last year when Jason Huang, the CEO and the founder of NVIDIA, said that quantum computers are not coming for the next 20 or 30 years, right? That's create kind of a chaos in the industry and a little bit of movement in terms of the value of the stock on the quantum public companies. So I know since that time a lot have happened, and also Jason had this mea culpa moment this year during the Viva Tech in Paris, which is also a headquarter of Pasqal, and he even mentioned Pasqal on the stage, so that's all great. But I think the question here, which most of the enterprise executives ask themselves is that the moment where we should already explore the possibilities to utilize quantum computers, or is still a perspective of years? And by years, I mean 5, 10, 15 years.
I mean, Jensen Huang is an amazing leader. I mean, he has created one of the greatest companies ever, one of the greatest technology companies ever. I think to his credit, once he made that statement, he then went and he really studied it. And then he invited us, including Pasqal, to be on the stage with him, in which he said that, look, I realized that it's actually here now. It's not as far away. And this is exactly what we see, which is that we are providing these solutions to our customers today, and precisely the areas that I talked about. And what we find is that in all of these cases, we are able to do the same, we are able to give answers that the customers want in faster or better ways than are traditionally available to them. So and given the pace at which this industry is exploding,
That's true.
Our capability will become
much
exponentially better, which means that we will routinely be solving problems that actually cannot be solved by any other way, regardless of how much time or money you throw at it.
This is mind-blowing, to be honest, in terms of the problem that cannot be solved. Okay, so this is you saying basically that this is happening right now. It's not the melody of the future.
Yes.
Okay, so when we talk about the enterprise and adaptation, what are the non-technical challenges to adapt quantum technologies in the enterprise organization right now? From your experience and working with different
I think it's precisely what you said, which is most enterprise leaders, they have this conception that it is very far away. So they don't even try it. They don't even have curiosity about
That's
it.
why we educate. That's why we do what we do. Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we also try to do is help demonstrate to them that for problems that are important for them, we can provide answers today, and our capability to do that will become exponentially greater, in every year. So I think that's the first thing we want to do. The second thing is, I think they worry about the fact that, well, does it require a PhD in physics for us to use a quantum computer?
Exactly.
So, and our answer is no, it doesn't. In fact, we have taken all the complexity and we've taken it all out and made it very easy to use. In fact, you don't even need to know how to program a quantum computer, and we can make it a very visual interface so you can deal with it.
Benefit from it.
And the third one that they would think about is, well, would these quantum computers replace my existing computers or GPUs, clusters and so on? And our answer is no, because they work alongside them. So the hardest things, exactly, the hardest problems that you cannot solve in the other areas, you just give that to the quantum computer, but everything gets put together, and in the end, the answer goes to the customer.
So I think here the biggest lesson here or takeaway is that we are not going to use quantum computers to replace calculators or simple equation or Excels or stuff. That will all still be there.
Or not even existing advanced computers or Gen AI systems and so on. They will all exist.
Okay.
We will just layer on top of it, and we'll just handle problems that are impossible or very difficult for them to solve.
100%. Okay, and what about the cost of this adaptation? Because obviously quantum computers right now, they cost thousands of $1 million, from my understanding, and as much as some enterprise companies can afford it, I bet most of the SMB companies and startups cannot afford it. It's not possible for them ever, right? So the question here will be: Are we looking to have quantum computers in the cloud? Would that be equivalent of AWS or Azure for quantum?
Yeah, another really great question. So, typically when people buy computation at scale, the budgets are typically in tens of millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
It's like buying big clusters. So quantum computers, if you were to purchase your own quantum computer, like a high-performing quantum computer, you'll pay, money like that. You'll pay tens of millions of dollars. However, access to those quantum computers, our quantum computers, over the cloud is available today, which means that any company can get access to those quantum computers at something like today.
You guys hearing this, right?
It's available today.
I just want to ensure that our audience know that point. Okay. Today, we are able to access Pasqal quantum computers via cloud. How? So
we are available on Google Cloud. So actually, if you go to the quantum computing offers on Google Cloud, you will see Pasqal systems there. We are available on Microsoft Azure. You can do exactly that. We have our own cloud service, so you can see exactly that. And this is basically at a much, much lower cost point to small companies. And not only do you get access to the computer, you will get access to some particular, let's say, application level, software as well that you can utilize for your particular problems right away. So you can get going also very easily. So, OpenAI recently published this kind of library of the prompts for ChatGPT.
That's what you're saying about this library of application?
Yes. So basically, for the different industries that I talked about, telecom and energy and logistics and materials, we have certain use cases.
They are already there, or
they're
this is something
there.
that you're planning to
So
do?
this is all work we have done in the past years. So some of these use cases, we are making them available so that if you have to, for example, design your telecom network and you want to know, where you want to place your antennas, then we have a use case already ready to go for it.
Oh, cool.
Then you just put your data in it and you'll get the answer.
This is, I think, a lot of people are not aware about. So I'm great you talking about that. This is really great. And actually, I wanted to ask you, like, what is, in your opinion, would be the next wave of development in terms of quantum technologies? Because everyone right now, or most of people, are working on the hardware as well. But there's also the case studies, like the use cases, the applications. So where do you think there will be the biggest wave of development in terms of quantum technologies? Would it be the hardware or applications or software? Where are we?
I believe all of the following will continue because the hardware will become increasingly capable and powerful, which is driving the software or the application layer.
And we cannot do that without the hardware. So 100%. Hardware is the first step.
Hardware is the first step. But it's actually going to be the specific applications where we will demonstrate that certain kinds of problems can be solved only on quantum computers and nowhere else.
And that's where the value creation is.
That's where the disruptive value creation occurs. We can already solve problems 5 times faster in some cases than other methods, which is already very, very valuable for businesses. But solving a problem that you cannot solve at all, now that's interesting.
You have been both ex-founder and ex-investor. What kind of advice would you give to the investor or VCs who are not focusing exclusively on quantum, but they want to perhaps maybe do a couple of bets in terms of quantum startups? What kind of quantities they should look in both ideas and the founders of quantum technologies, considering the next 5 to 10 years?
The first thing I would say is come with curiosity. We're just living through this, the whole AI wave, the Gen AI wave. It is so different than traditional computation. But people have approached it with curiosity because they understand that it's fundamentally different. So first thing is approach it with curiosity and keep an open mind because it is fundamentally different. And what that means is there is a role for everyone to play in this. But 100%. Don't bring too much bias into it. So that's the first thing I would say.
How to track the best ideas?
Figure out what are the real problems that need to be solved and give that as a challenge to the quantum computing companies to find ways of solving it.
Okay. So this is basically the same as previously we had in the VC category, AI startup, and now this category is basically disappearing because every startup is now AI powered startup. Right. So you are saying basically that in the next 10 years, quantum will be embedded in every single startup or new idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Or most of them.
Exactly. So, the future of computation from our point of view is traditional computation, Gen AI based, and then quantum, all 3 of them working together. So they all become embedded in everything.
Pillars.
3 pillars of computation.
Yeah.
It becomes embedded in everything.
Beautiful. Okay. And the question will be, if we look in the 10 years of the perspective, what will be the reality of quantum in our everyday life? Because we can imagine that very simply for other industry, for health tech, for AI and so on. How would quantum computers change my everyday life as Eva Galant or any average John Smith?
Okay, so let's imagine I wake up in the morning.
Yes.
And my house or my everything runs on electricity. All of a sudden, I will have batteries that will, instead of lasting a few hours or a day, could last for months, maybe years, because fundamentally we have discovered brand new materials and brand new designs through which we can store energy. The clothes I would wear, perhaps they will be made of completely different materials. They'll be far more weather, infection, and other resistant, and yet be light and have properties that are very compelling. I would have access to medicine which is just for me.
Personalized medicine.
Personalized medicine.
Big thing.
Big thing. In terms of, pollution coming in the atmosphere, maybe we can remove it. Because all of these are materials properties and chemistry properties. These are some things that quantum computing is really, really great at. Our energy transfer, in terms of how we ship energy from one point to the other, it becomes much more efficient. The whole world can change. When I'm sending something from point A to point B, then it becomes far more efficient because my logistics are much more simplified. And I can do a lot of
faster
things.
deliveries.
Faster deliveries, just-in-time deliveries, just-in-time manufacturing to just-in-time delivery and all
More
personalized.
consumptions.
Yeah.
A joke. This is a different topic. Okay, but from that perspective, future look really, really bright. Wasiq, our time is coming on. So a last question to you. What would make you personally, as a Wasiq Bokhari, the most excited about being in that field and in that industry?
I feel like I'm living in a dream, because when I was younger, I thought all of this was like science and theory and fictional, and yet we are making it happen. It's real. It's happening today. I mean, just to be able to utilize these secret magical properties of nature to create systems that can do things that otherwise are impossible. That's amazing. So it's like living in the future. That's what makes me excited. And the fact that I'm doing my part along with many others to create this future, that makes me very excited.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Guys, that was Blond and Quantum. Wasiq, thank you so much for being with us today and helping us to kick it off. That was the first episode, not the last, so please ensure that you are following us on Apple Podcast and Spotify both. And if you like it, please rate us, please leave a comment, please get in touch. Thank you so
very
much. That was Blond and Quantum. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the quantum business frontier. If you liked the episode, please review it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and help more people discover the quantum world without needing to untangle the theoretical physics. See you next time, unless the cat changes the timeline first.